Hello, everyone. Welcome to my trade recap for the week of April 21st, 2025. So, this was an exceptionally amazing week for me. I have, never had a better week in my trading career than this week. Call outs, 100% on call out, 100% win rate. Very, not realistic and not something that happens often ever. So, I'm really excited to share this trade recap with everyone. So let's get right into it. So the first trade I actually only took on live. I did not call this one out in chat since it was I assumed it was going to be a scalp trade. It ended up, if you could have held it for longer than I did. Nonetheless, it was a really great trade. So, did take some QQQ puts on live. I believe those contracts were 434 zero dated puts. So I took these, I want to say around this candle right here, this 650 candle, or possibly 655. I don't have the exact timestamp on it since I didn't put them in chat. But what I did for taking this trade was I used ORB strategy with support and resistance levels, supply demand areas. So first 15 minutes waited, marked out my 15-minute candle. So that would just be from this top range right here, so this 439.11, and then this close right here, this 436.37. So yeah, I ended up entering on this 655 candle once we were heavily pushing below ORB low level, which was that, again, 436.41 level. So I ended up taking puts on Qs for around 55-60%. They would have ran to well over 200-300%, but I wasn't going to hold them for majority of the day. So entered on this candle, those 434 puts, zero dated. Ended up exiting around 7:15, so around this area below right here, this 433.80, because that was a key support level, which is why I use ORB. With support and resistance, you can't really just use one confluence. You kind of have to use them together. So using, both those kind of strategies together, opening ORB and support and resistance, quick and easy trade. Entered around I would say this 435.90 area, and exited around 433, this lower 433 area for 55%. So that was a great trade. Then I ended up alerting another one on Monday the 21st, so we'll go back there. I alerted some. Oh, let's go back. Okay, so the exact time for these was around 7:12 a.m. is when I alerted these contracts. So let's get that candle around this candle right here. So I ended up alerting Mara 1350 contracts calls for the reason because Bitcoin over the weekend was breaking out and overall looking the best out of anything else in the stock market. Mara, Coin, MSTR were all looking pretty good that day, although Coin and MSTR are a bit more expensive, so I kind of stay away from alerting those, especially at the beginning of the week. But yeah, ended up taking entry on these Mara contracts, because we were holding up 1270, which was kind of my support area, and Bitcoin was breaking out. So with Mara, little different. You have to use Bitcoin hand in hand. You can't just look at Mara. So I was mainly watching Bitcoin while taking this trade. So entered around 1270 area. Immediately got a pretty nice push up at this 715 candle. I remember entering for 55 cents a contract. And then these ended up exiting them around 1305, 1306 for 30% a contract. And then I let my runners just go, I set my take profit and then I set my stop loss at break even, because no reason to lose money on contracts that were already green. But yeah, ended up taking most profit at 72 cents a contract. And then I believe my runners went for break even, if I can remember. But yeah, take profit ideally would have been around 13.20, 13.50, but we didn't exactly get up there, which is why I ended up taking most of my profit and leaving runners, because, Bitcoin was starting to slow. The rest of the market was, heading downwards. Overall, you don't want to really be in that and going against the overall trend, which was bearish, especially after Qs broke below ORB and pre-market low. So, but yeah, with Mara, little different. We were holding up my support level. Bitcoin was getting a push up. Enter these contracts. Kind of quick trade. Wasn't, anything crazy, but still good nonetheless. Tuesday, I actually did not end up alerting anything or taking anything. There just wasn't a whole lot going on. And then on Wednesday, I believe I alerted 2 trades. So, first one was MSTR. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay. First one was MSTR 340 puts. Like I said, I don't really love to alert MSTR, but these contracts weren't super expensive or anything, so alerted these on Wednesday, April 23rd. The exact time I alerted them at was 8:23 a.m. So around this candle right here. Oh yeah, I remember this trade. So I entered, MSTR puts once we broke here. So I was taking this trade mainly as a scalp. Not really to see 5-minute candle hold below, but more as a scalp trade. So at this 343.60 or 50 level is when I entered, and immediately massive move down, as you could see the wick of the candle here. So right there, 30% took some profit at 340, held into this candle, and then I remember this one being expensive. First contract, $765, and then I believe I ended up exiting most of them for around $925 a contract. So the move on those was pretty good. And then I kept 2 for runners, break even, stops, and then take profit was at $945 a contract, because I was trying to see if MSTR could really break and hold below 340 and reach down to like 337 area. We ended up only getting to like 339, lows of 339, which is where I took most of my profit again, and then let my 2 contracts I had just, run. If they hit break even, they hit break even. They hit my take profit, great. Doesn't really matter either way. Already made profit on these contracts, so all good. And then final trade was Tesla puts, I believe, final trade for this day was Tesla puts on Wednesday, so the 23rd. We go all the way back. So time I ended up entering these were around 9:20 a.m. Nope, back a little more. Yeah, so or 9:15 a.m. Yeah. So I didn't call an exact entry on this. I said trade idea Tesla puts under 252.30. So immediately once we started holding under 252.30 is when I took entry on these. Not the best trade ever, but sold most of my contracts up 10%, and then the rest hit break even. So again, another trade. We were holding below my support area, getting volume to the downside. Overall sentiment was bearish on Tesla and Qs for this time being, and then we ended up holding above. We ended up holding up 250, which is where I mainly exited, 251 area for 10%. Nothing crazy, but these were 247.50 contracts, just for clarification. And then next day ended up taking Meta contracts. Okay, let's see. Awesome. So this was Thursday, the 24th. Exact time I took these. Yeah, so these were also expensive, but I took them around 6:55 a.m. These 5:30 contracts or calls. 6:55. Okay. So this candle right here, I ended up taking these because we were holding up this 421.20 area, our support. And again, overall market sentiment was bullish now this day. So I'm using multiple confluences at once. You can't just trust, one singular thing. You can't just trust your support or resistance level and take a trade off of that. That does not work too well. You have to be using volume. You have to make sure you know overall market sentiment, especially within tech, since I mostly trade only tech. So these went pretty nicely. Okay. So took 5:30 contracts, entered around 6:55 again. Immediately after I entered, though, jump up, made around 35, exited for around 35% most of my contracts, and then held another one, and my runners exited for around 55%. I was targeting that 528 level right here, which was a resistance level. Didn't want to hold past that because, we could have ended up not breaking through it and heading back down to our support for the day. So runners went for 55%, which is, more than I could ask for. Overall, really great trade. But again, holding up support, volume, and overall market sentiment. 3 different things. I'm not using just one singular thing. One singular strategy, if you want to call it. And then Friday, entered coin calls. Yeah. So Friday, there wasn't a whole lot going on unless you had Tesla. Tesla was pretty nice, had some shares. So those did me pretty nicely. But other than that, this is the only trade I ended up taking on Friday. So I entered these around 7:08 a.m. Okay, so around, this candle right here. So once we were holding up to 205 area, which was my support on coin, I ended up taking entry, close to like 206 area on this, is where I ended up taking entry. On these 210 calls, 0 dated, took some profit at 15% once we kind of reached up to that 207 area, and then all the rest of my contracts I exited for around 30%. So with coin, again, same thing as Mara and MSTR. I'm using support and resistance. I'm watching Bitcoin. I have levels marked out on Bitcoin as well. And I'm also using, market sentiment for crypto. And obviously this entire week, crypto has been doing really, really well. So the only thing about coin, though, is that it trades with all the coins versus MSTR is mainly just Bitcoin. So you have to be a little bit more cautious and careful with Coinbase. But again, another really great trade. Exited for most of my contracts for 30% here. Again, I know, these numbers aren't big, or these percentages aren't big for options, but in total, I called out, let's just count it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 6 trades last week, all for around, 30 to 60% exit. The small wins really, really add up. They add up like crazy. So don't be targeting those, massive returns, 300, 400% on a singular contract. Target 30% to 50%. If you can target that, a couple times a week and do that and just build up that way and set your stop losses tightly, negative 20, 25%, and risk the correct amount, you're going to be golden. You will be golden. Again, 6 out of 6 trades. And then my analyst alerted a couple trades. One of them was really good. He alerted some MSTR calls for around 40%. But he didn't alert too many last week. So 7 out of 7 trades from me and my analyst over the entirety of last week. Smaller wins add up like crazy, especially if, you have a week like this and you can really follow my analysis, you will be golden. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to me. Just a quick reminder, if you are in my free chat on Discord that is being deleted on Sunday, April 27th, the end of day on Sunday, so there will be no more free chat, but I'm going to be posting educational YouTube videos once a week, so make sure to watch those. All my educational content will just be moved to YouTube. Maybe I'll do some lives on YouTube for you guys as well, but yeah, I just want to kind of clear out the people who aren't super active, but if you do want to join, premium chat, there is a discount code right now, free chat 20, for 20% off if you want to get in before free chat is closed off. But anyways, once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you all later.